Hello, and welcome back to the show. Today we're going to do a good old-fashioned cozy Q&A. I got a ton of questions from you over on YouTube, on Instagram, and I think that's it. I was going to list out another platform, but just kidding. YouTube and Instagram. And they cover everything from content creation to social media management and marketing to a little bit of, my own personal plans and goals with my business. So we're going to hop in, but before I do that, I have one quick favor to ask you, my lovely listeners and viewers of Freelance Friday. I haven't done a true listener survey in a couple of years, and I would really love to hear from you. I'm going to leave a link to that survey down in the show notes. And I'll be giving away a couple of little thank you gifts at random if you would like to fill that out. And also, it would just be helpful if you truly enjoy the show to make sure that I'm producing content that you really enjoy, that's really helpful to you. I really am trying to re-envision the content that I'm creating a little bit to, just make it more value packed for you and also fun and, feeling good for me to create. So I'd really appreciate you taking the time. So let's hop into the questions. This is a good one from Miriam on YouTube. How to get high-paying clients. Does Upwork still work? Does pitching work? Or do we need to go out and network more? No one seems to be able to answer that question clearly, and it's all beginning to look like luck. A video on that would be great. I have a lot of videos on getting clients, so I'll try to link some of my favorites or some of the more recent ones for you. But the short answer is all of those methods work. It really does just depend on so many different factors, to be honest with you. It depends on what works for you. I think there are some people who are better at pitching and selling and going into a business and saying, hey, howdy, this is what I've got for you, than others. I personally never had a ton of luck with that type of selling. I always had a lot more luck with using platforms like Upwork because I could see what the person wanted and really tailor my response and position myself as the perfect person for them. I also have always done really well with content marketing just because it comes really naturally to me. Other people hate being on video and do not attract leads that way. Some people are really great at talking and networking and just being very personable and attracting people that way. Other people are not. So it truly depends on you. It also depends, I think, on what you do. I think there are some industries that do better on certain platforms and certain avenues than others. For example, I see a lot of design jobs on online platforms like Upwork, like Fiverr, whereas maybe for something that's longer term typically and a retainer-based project like marketing, social media, I think networking and having that communication and relationship really serves that type of selling well. There are so many variables. And I know this sounds like a non-answer, and I think this person might be a little frustrated that there's not yes, this is the answer, but that's kind of the nature of business for some things in business. And my advice is you've got to try them all. I tried them all when I was first starting, and I still try them all. Sometimes certain things like leads dry up somewhere or things change, and I have to be able to reinvent myself and try different things. So definitely when I was first starting though, I was everywhere. I made accounts on every single freelancing platform. I, posted on all the social media accounts. I told everybody and their grandma about what I was doing, so you got to try different things and then you'll see things that do better for you. And I saw personally LinkedIn worked really well for me. Upwork worked really well for me. And then I did see that networking, speaking, things like that gave me longer, it took me longer to get leads, but they tended to be higher quality leads. So a little bit of a combination of those is what has built my business, but you got to do you. And I'm sorry if that was a non-answer, but that's the answer, honestly. And I wish you well. I got a question that said, how did I get to 200K plus subscribers on YouTube? And the answer is if you want my secret method for this, it's just being consistent. Listen, I think that I could go on and tell you all of the best YouTube tips that I have, and I certainly have in different videos. So again, I'll try to link some of those for you. And I'm not saying I'm not talented. I'm not saying I'm not smart. I'm not saying there aren't standout things about me. That sounds a little self-deprecating, but honestly, my biggest secret is that I've just kept at it. If you keep at it long enough and you improve slowly over time, I believe that success will happen. So yes, I've been on YouTube for a long time. I posted consistently. I have never had a viral video. I mean, my most viral video is almost at 1 million views, which is pretty cool to me, but it didn't do that overnight. I didn't wake up and it had 500,000 views or anything. It was a slow growth, slow, every month, every year. it, continued to rank. So that has been my MO. It's slow and steady consistency. If you have an idea, if you want to get on YouTube, if you want to start writing or start creating, I really think you should. And just try not to get discouraged if you do not have immediate mind blowing success. If I would have given up the first year, the first 2 years when I was trying to be a beauty blogger and I was seeing all of my peers, all my contemporaries blow up, and I was like down, struggling to get 100 subscribers, if I would have given up then, I would not have the business I have today. So, yeah, that's my little mindset motivation for the day. Your opinion on how AI will affect the world of social media managers in the future based on what is happening now. Skills to develop to stay competitive ahead of the curve. I made a whole video about this maybe a year and a half ago. Kind of my initial thoughts on the state of AI, I guess, and what it was going to do to our industry. And I have to say, a year and a half later, none of my worst fears have come true. It's not to say that there aren't concerns. It's not to say that some people haven't lost contracts or lost gigs from AI, but I really do think it's just another tool. And I don't want to parrot the like AI fanatics or anything by saying that, but it's just another tool. I don't think it's going to replace humans by any means. I think there will always be a place for done for you by a human. That said, I think we have to be aware of what AI tools are out there and what they really specialize in. So either we can choose to use them if we want to, or so we can just be knowledgeable and, really hone in our skills on areas that it cannot perform so well at. For example, I, over the past year and a half, have definitely noticed a lot more demand for on-site video production for my business, consulting, that's another thing. Copywriting, I've gotten a lot less requests for that type of work. It's not to say that that industry is dead though, because I certainly know a lot of copywriters who are still really crushing it. But, you just have to adapt and pay attention to, hey, okay, it seems like AI is doing a decent job, I guess, at writing basic copy, which writers don't come from me because I know it's not doing anywhere near as good as you are doing. But okay, like maybe let's not lead with that if we don't have to, or figure out how to differentiate ourselves from that if we are a writer. I think that's just kind of the state of business is, again, constantly evolving and knowing what's out there and knowing what the competition is. But yeah, I think that it'll be okay. I actually see the AI thing affecting, strangely, content creators more and like course creators more, which in the beginning, everyone was like, oh no, that's the safest job, is to be a personality, right? People like personalities. But I have noticed that it's actually affecting us because people are like, oh, I don't have to watch a video anymore. I don't have to read a blog post anymore. I can just get the freaking AI knowledge panel. And so I'm actually a little bit more concerned about it from a content creation angle, to be totally truthful with you. What was a moment that made you want to go out on your own full time? I haven't told this story in a long time, and I know some people are new to the show, the YouTube channel. So I have been full time in my business for 5 years, about. I have been working in my business for like a decade. But, I worked in corporate America for several years and I don't regret it. I learned so much working at a couple of different Fortune 500, corporate companies. I learned a lot. I really enjoyed my time there. And I think because I enjoyed what I was doing and because I knew I was learning a lot, it took me a long time to leave. Like I probably could have left my job at least a year or two before I did. I had saved enough money. I had built up, a client load and things like that. But I liked getting the best of both worlds. What really moved me, I guess, to take the plunge was a deep loss that I experienced in late 2018. My father passed away really tragically. And it was like the hardest thing I've ever been through. And even though my job was amazing about it and very accommodating, I just, it's so cheesy, but it's true. It really makes you realize how short life is. My dad was only 51. And I was like, oh my gosh, do I want to spend some of my best years of life behind a cubicle, not doing the things that I want to do? And so it really just lit a fire under me to make it happen. And I haven't looked back since. And obviously I was terrified, but yeah, I know he would be super proud of me. And I feel like I'm living a little bit, for the life that he didn't get to fully live in my opinion. So yeah, that's the honest truth, is it took a personal loss. And I think, that's a thing when I work with coaching clients or students and just talk to people out in the world, is like, they're always like kind of asking for permission, of like, when should I go? When should I take the leap? And the truth is, it's such a personal thing. I can give you an amount of money that would probably be a good idea to have in your bank account, right? I could give you a list of steps. I could give you a number of clients that you should have. But at the end of the day, you have to feel right about it for you. Some people do so well just like jumping off the deep end with no plan, no money, no clients. That is not my style. I could have never probably done that unless I was forced to. Other people, need to take time. Other people need that really like emotional, like motivation or whatever that might be. So it is such a personal decision. And if you're thinking about it, I wish you luck coming to that decision. Write out a pros and cons list. Think about what you want your life to look like not the fancy vacations, not the extravagant things, but think about what you want your day to day to look like. And for me, I wanted peace. I wanted to wake up when I wanted to within reason and help get rid of some of my chronic migraines that I had, which have gone away since being able to live on my own schedule. I wanted to be able to take walks every day. I wanted to be able to cook fresh food for myself every day. And those were things that just, I wasn't able to do all the time working in corporate. And so I made it happen. Speaking of fresh food, vegan recipe recommendations for someone who's in a bit of a food rut. And I want to couple this with another question, which says, what are your future plans for your business or brand? This is like a little bit wild for me to say, but for the first time in a long time, I'm starting a new publication. Let's say it's not a YouTube channel, but I'm creating an Instagram account and a Substack, which is essentially a newsletter / blog. And I'm going to be talking about food and my vegan lifestyle, which I know. Sometimes people just like automatically tune out of this because they're like, I don't want to be scolded. I don't want to be preached to. And that is exactly the point. I'm calling it That Vegan Friend. And I just want it to be a safe space for anybody to land, whether you're plant curious, fully vegan, vegetarian, complete carnivore who just needs more fruits and veggies. I want it to be a place where you feel welcome and inspired, and where you look at the food that I go out to eat or make at home and think that looks delicious and I want it. So it's just a little passion project that I'm working on. But to the point of what are your future plans for your business or brand, I definitely just have been feeling a call to do some things that are a little bit more, I don't know, that showcase a little bit more of who I really am. Because yes, I do run a business, but honestly, I started a business so I could do, just like I said, eat fresh food every day, afford to eat high quality food every day, afford to invest in my health. And that is a big part of who I am. So I don't know, I've just been feeling a call to share more of myself, I guess, in different ways that are not just related to business and entrepreneurship. So I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, so I'm creating some separate, platforms for it, but we're going to see how that goes. And obviously my dream like in life would be to be able to, I don't know, produce documentaries about animals and food, or to be able to, do bigger things related to it. But for now, we're starting with a Substack, so you should check it out and go subscribe. I'll leave the link down below. Let's see. How do you deal with low energy days and or days when you're down? That's kind of related to, I think, somewhat what I was saying is I think I've just haven't felt super inspired or motivated. Not that I don't love business, but it's just, I'm more than that. We all are more than whatever it is that we create content about. And so how do I deal with that? Honestly, take a break. I've taken breaks, as I'm sure you've noticed, probably more breaks than I ever have in my YouTube career over the past few months. And there's, another reason for that is that I have been going through a lot of personal things. Obviously, not everybody is able to do that. And I'm not able to do that like forever, right? Like I could take a day or two, but I can't just stop working. I am not at that point financially. And many people are not even at the point of feeling like they're able to for a day. So sometimes you do have to just push through. And I just have to remind myself, well, this is something that I love to do. It's also a job. And I need to just go to work, just like I would when I worked at the mall or when I worked in the corporate world. Sometimes you just have to get the bare minimum done to like get that paycheck or get that client taken care of or get whatever it is that you need from it. But yeah, if you can take a break, it really does help. Let's see. What else? I got another question about, the future of AI. So I already answered that one kind of. Which platforms are worth the time for freelancers? Again, my favorite has always been Upwork in terms of freelancing platforms. I've personally never had luck on Fiverr. Another one that's interesting to me is Contra. I don't know if I've only gotten like 1 or 2 gigs on Contra, but it is very interesting to me. I think it looks really good. They really vet both brands and freelancers a little better than some of the others. So I'd recommend checking that one out. And LinkedIn as well. You can filter by job type and look for contract gigs, part-time gigs, remote jobs, even volunteer opportunities, which yeah, obviously is not going to help us get paid, but there's a lot on LinkedIn. How to differentiate from the competition that is damaging the market. I don't know this person's full, situation, I guess, but I can relate in that I think the whatever it is that I do, marketing content world has kind of been like taken a little bit of a hit over the past year. I think there's been a lot of people who've gotten burned by things that they don't feel are really worth the money. There's been some kind of sketchy scammers out there. So I can relate to that. I think you just have to care about who it is that you're serving. If you genuinely care about who it is that you're serving, number one, I think that comes across, right? It shows if you are an authentic human or brand, if you're managing accounts for somebody else, like it shows. But I think it also helps the negativity roll off of you easier. I am not going to lie and say that I've never had somebody be upset or call me, lump me in with some of these weird get rich quick scheme type people, because there have been people, a small number compared to everybody who's purchased from me, worked with me, watched my videos, a very small number. But yes, there have been. In fact, just about a week ago, I had somebody harassing me about a credit card chargeback. It was a whole ordeal. The banks ruled in my favor, but they still were saying that I was a fraud. And although it was upsetting, it rolled off pretty easily because I know that I am not, because I know that I have 99% who've taken those things and bought from me who have not done that and who would argue the opposite. And so I think that's all you can do is you just have to really genuinely care and do what's right for your customers and show that through your actions. I wouldn't recommend like doing takedowns, like this handbag company is cheap and terrible and we're, good and cool. Like I don't recommend doing that because that's kind of getting in the mud and it's kind of like trying to make somebody else look small to make you look better. I don't think is the move either. I think you just have to lead with your value, lead with your authenticity, lead with your care and support for your audience. I think that's all you can do. And I'm certainly not perfect, but it is what it is. How to be creative when you don't know the industry that much. So I think you really have to delve into, I'm guessing they're like a social media manager or content creator for a brand in an industry that they don't know very well. You have to really just immerse yourself in that world. When I first started working in the automotive industry, that was my first corporate job. I worked in the automotive industry. And let me tell you, first of all, my mom didn't grow up driving. We never had a car growing up. So I had only had my own car for like 5 years at that point, maybe longer. I don't know, but whatever. I hadn't even barely had my own car for that long. I knew nothing about cars. And I just had to immerse myself in that world in addition to taking advantage of, my company's training programs and stuff like that. I would buy like automotive magazines. I would Google like car and driver. I don't even know if that's the website, but I would just Google different things. I would follow content creators in the automotive industry space and just try to learn and immerse myself really. And that's the same thing is true for when I worked in the staffing industry, knew nothing about how that industry worked. And of course, for all of my different clients that I still take on. So yeah, you can create separate accounts if you want to just kind of immerse yourself or follow on your clients' accounts. But yeah, I think that's the best way. And also just have good communication with your client and ask them those questions in your onboarding process of like, who are your competitors? What are your number one products or services that you sell? How do you make money? Like understanding all of those questions is super important to doing your job as a creative. Okay, let's see. What other questions? How to restart business and content creation after a break? I think you just start. I don't know. Let's see. Most valuable pieces of content you can create to engage your audience. Content that's going to help them. Yeah, I mean, I think, again, we always want there to be like a template or a formula or something. I wish there was like a template or a formula being like, create this, this, and this will engage your audience. But honestly, if you help people, if you give them value, if you give them an aha moment, if you give them a quick win, they will thank you for it. So this can be I mean, like, it can be anything from like a couple of quick tips to a review of something that's going to save them time or money to something that makes them smile or makes them feel inspired. I think you have to test a few different styles of content to see what resonates the best with your audience. But the answer is content that helps, content that serves is the best option. And of course, there's things that you can do to generate more engagement, like making sure that it's something that's shareable. And I think the key to that is giving a little quick win in it, right? Like if you can tell people, hey, did you know if you go to your settings on LinkedIn, you can turn off the ability for LinkedIn to scrape your account for AI and you like show it on the screen really quickly, that's going to be something that people are going to share with their friends. So giving those quick little wins and also thinking about making things shareable, I think are the keys to that. I have one offer at 997 pounds and would like to bring more offers, but not too much work. There are so many ways to do this. I think you could do everything from, hey, let me set up podcast interviews. Let me try to guest on as many podcasts as will have me. The great thing about that is you're getting exposed to new audiences without having to create content, edit content, without having to spend money on ads. It just requires some of your time. And, you could guest on 8 podcasts in an 8-hour day, technically speaking. So that's a good way. You can also always just look at your offers again. Look at not just your offers, meaning your landing pages, what is in the content itself to make sure that it's top notch and good value, but also look at your promotional materials that support that course or program that you're selling. You could partner up. You could do something similar to podcast interview, reach out to other creators in your space and either offer them affiliate links so that they can make a cut of the course sales, or you could do some type of bundle situation or something like that. There are a lot of different ways. I mean, yeah, I think those are like the quick ideas that are organic. You can also test out running ads. I know some of my friends who sell courses are like, I can't believe you don't run ads, Latasha. You could be making so many more sales from this. And that's definitely on my to-do list to try because they are crushing it. I don't know much about running ads for courses, but I know people are still doing it successfully. Those are some quick ideas. I hope that helped. Okay, and last question. If your brand was a superhero, what would its superpower be? I think it would have the ability to see invisibility. I consider myself to be a very observant person. I very much feel people's energy, which can be a very big pro and a very big con. But it's like if a client is like, yeah, we're so happy. Oh my gosh. And I can just tell that they're not. I'm like, let's get to the bottom of this. Let's get ahead of this, which can sometimes drive me wild because I can overthink things and I can always feel like, oh my gosh, they're going to drop me. They're not happy. They don't like this. But I think it also helps me get ahead of things and really proactively serve my clients. So I would say that. So if you're a fellow introvert, a fellow listener, and a fellow observer, know that that actually has a lot of value. I think it's served me well, at least in my career. And actually, this is the actual last question, which I appreciate so much. And it is, how are you? Thank you so much for asking. I am doing well. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling a little confused about, life, about everything in life. I wouldn't say confused, but, I think just excited, honestly, excited about new possibilities, new opportunities, trying new things like this plant-based Substack Instagram. If nothing else, I hope it reignites a little bit of my creativity because I think I've been in a bit of a creative rut. Personally, I'm having fun. I've been traveling. I've been going all over the place, everywhere from Alabama to West Virginia, which has just been so freaking fun. And yeah, it's been a rough year, health-wise, personal-wise, but I am very confident that 2025 is going to be amazing. I am. And I appreciate you asking that. So thank you so much to everybody who sent in a question. Again, I'm going to leave a podcast survey. I would so appreciate it if you took a few minutes to fill that out. Tell me just a little bit about you, what you want to hear or see from the show in, Q4, 2025, etc. It'd be really helpful for me. I want to make content that you like and that helps you. And subscribe to the show, subscribe to the podcast, the YouTube channel, all the things. I appreciate you. I'm at the Latasha James everywhere on social media, and I will talk to you in my next episode. Bye.